Nothing but net. Oh!
Good.
Boom! Oh, that's good. That's some sneaky shooting, Tex. Boom, 3 down, thank you. Oh. Oh, but I can't stop a supercharged sentry. Get to cover, watch your head, and check those windows, because today we're covering the sniper class for Battlefront II, the Specialist. Like any first-person shooter, the Specialist is a highly specific character heavily reliant on game skill, map knowledge, and a thirst for blood. However, Battlefront II's version of the sniper comes equipped with a wide variety of skills and abilities that makes his headshots just one of many ways to eliminate his enemies. Keep in mind that today our focus will only be on the ability cards and not the boost cards, but keep your eyes peeled because the next video will focus solely on the boost cards. Starting right away, with our left trigger abilities, we have the improved shock grenade. Used like the previous grenades we've discussed, it's thrown, it lands, and after a short time it goes off, spreading an electrical current on the ground. This creates a shock area of effect, which slows down enemies caught in its radius and slowly damages them. The improved shock grenade is a strong card for holding down choke points and objectives. With the aid of its slow and damage ability, it can help secure kills for your allies. Your allies will be unaffected walking through the electrical field, but it can still damage and slow you, so keep that in mind so you don't play yourself. With the Specialist's second ability, he holsters his primary weapon and equips the Stinger Pistol. Now the Stinger Pistol's ammunition has a poison effect, dealing damage over time. Being affected by this poison stops players' HP from recharging due to the damage over time effect. This ability is exceedingly useful on retreating enemies, heroes, and is a direct counter to shields, so it is a fantastic counter against the heavy and specialist classes. The pistol does very little on hit damage and only deals roughly 4 damage per second. Whilst the damage output of the Stinger Pistol is low, it definitely has a place on the battlefield. Used on tanks and heroes, it can help support your allies and negate the enemy team's healers, and it might just get you a kill after you die. The last card for this slot is the Repulsor Cannon. The Specialist holsters his main weapon and brings out the beautiful CA-87, the equivalent of a sawn-off double-barrel shotgun in the Star Wars universe. The CA-87 has 2 shots available, and, you guessed it, is most effective at close quarters. It fires a shockwave, dealing damage to enemies and knocks them back, sending them flying across the battlefield. Be careful to remember, you must be close to your enemy to make the most of this, because once your enemy is at mid-range, the gun becomes basically useless. It's most helpful in situations where enemies have caught you by surprise with a flank and you need to create space to either retaliate or escape. It's also very handy to push escaping enemies back into your shock grenade, or to use in cooperation with the Infiltrator ability, which is the next card we will discuss. The Infiltration ability is the Specialist's signature ability. The Specialist becomes invisible on radar and scans and marks enemies, as well as equipping a burst fire weapon. Being invisible to radar has a lot of perks: infiltrating the enemy backline, and to find your marked targets. With knowing their positions, and them not knowing yours, it sets you up for the perfect sniper advantage. Similar to the Assault class's Vanguard ability, you are given a timer, which upon activation counts down the remaining time and decreases further whenever a shot is fired from your gun. There are 3 upgrades for this ability. The first is Hardened Infiltration. With this ability, you gain damage reduction, allowing for a longer lifespan after activation. The second ability, Scramble Infiltration, allows your allies to see your marked targets while also simultaneously disabling enemy radars within your vicinity. The last ability is Killstreak Infiltration. This ability replenishes the time you have to use infiltration with every kill you make. Moving on to our last set of abilities, we begin with the improved Thermal Binoculars. The Thermal Binoculars allow you to see enemies' positions while looking through them. However, once improved, you can tag the enemies so that all of your teammates are privy to their locations. Keep in mind that in order to tag your enemies, you have to have a direct line of sight on them, so they can't be behind walls or bushes or other obstacles. Even though the Specialist can see those enemies with the binoculars, you are unable to tag them. A message appears at the top of your screen to tell you how many enemies are available for you to tag. Once there is one, you hit the trigger and the enemies are marked. The next ability for this slot is the Personal Shield. The Specialist activates a big shield around his body, which protects him from enemy projectiles. While this is active, the Specialist cannot fire his weapon and is restricted to melee attacks. Keep in mind that while the Specialist cannot take damage from blaster shots, he is vulnerable to melee attacks. With the correct use of the shield, it can assist in making a quick getaway, creating time for your HP to recharge, or if you're a risk taker, body block blaster fire for your teammates. The final ability is the Tripmine. Nothing complicated about this, it's exactly as it sounds. You place a mine on a surface and a red line appears from its center. If anyone crosses this line, it causes the mine to explode. Very handy to put on objectives or choke points, such as corridors and doors. Placing this behind your sniping position can also give you a security that you won't be snuck up on whilst marking enemies too. Try to place the mine so that it faces horizontally. If accidentally placed vertically, the trigger point will be facing straight up, making it much less likely that someone will run into them. It improves your chances of someone tripping it. It's wise to place the mine lower to the ground so that you can catch your enemies off guard. Often your enemies aren't looking down, more so straight ahead, so if you place it at chest height, they will be immediately alerted to the dangers ahead. In the most recent update of the game, they have allowed for you to have 2 trip mines active at one time. So you place the first mine, wait for the cooldown to be complete, and then you can place a second mine without losing the first one that you've already placed. And with the trip mine, we have covered the last ability for not only the Specialist, but for all of the classes in Battlefront 2. If you've missed any of my previous videos, I'll leave the links for them in the description so you can check out what else is available to you in the other classes. I hope you found these videos as helpful and as enjoyable as I've had making them. If you did enjoy the video, then a like would be very appreciated by me. But don't fear, because this is just the beginning. My next video will be covering the boost cards. Now, I've mentioned them in every video, so it seems only fair that they get a video of their own. So hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and get R2 to lock it down, because we'll have more content coming to you very soon. I'll be streaming on Twitch every day. I'll leave a link in the description, and I'd love to see you guys watching the stream. In the meantime, thanks again, may the Force be with you, and I'll see you on the battlefront.